Welcome to another episode of the Other Guys Podcasts, the podcast that tackles the important issues to men and women all over the world. I'm Special K, and my partners in crime.
This is Dimes.
I'm Moves.
So I got a question for you guys. What is the best time period, or what do you think the best time period it was to be a person, or to be a guy? You know, because like in terms of like, because I do like what technology has done for us. Obviously, where it's going is a little tricky. So for me, I'd have to say the 80s.
Okay, well, hang on. So are we talking about if it was today and I hopped in the DeLorean,
Yes,
and I could go travel anywhere
Yes.
at any point in time and have like the knowledge that I have today, or are we talking about, you know, you would be living in that time and not know about any other times?
No, basically,
But just basing that off what we do know.
no. So you have no. Basically, when do you think your own personal?
And can I leave?
No. Here's the thing. When do you think that your own personality type, your own the person that you are, without the knowledge of what you know now, would you think you would have thrived in? Like you know, I obviously wouldn't have been good in the create what do you call where the dinosaurs lived? Creations.
Okay, so you wouldn't want to live
Because
with the
I
dinosaurs.
would
don't know who would.
No, because some people are like, yeah, I'll take on a dinosaur, but
For
I
the
would.
week that they're going to survive.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, I know I definitely wouldn't be good with. I don't think I'd be good in the Roman times, right? Because I like toilets and stuff, so I got to go with the 80s.
Well, they had aqueducts.
No, but they had aqueducts.
Did they have toilets?
They did, but they were public toilets, and they were very unsanitary.
Have you been in a public toilet recently? What's changed?
Toilet paper and doors.
Toilet paper.
They
Doors,
didn't have doors. Listen, so in terms of what
I hear some countries still don't have doors.
China.
Yeah.
No, listen.
An idiot abroad. I think an idiot abroad.
He crapped literally in a hole in the ground.
I don't understand that whole thing.
Like you would think.
I guess it makes sense.
They manufacture so much, but doors for toilets, I guess, are on the list.
I think that I'm not sure because I think all of us I think all of our mentalities for a lot of people, like it's you belong when you grew up.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like you like the music.
Yeah.
You like you know, certain things that you grew up with are what you were always going to find funny and like TV shows, music, even like clothing or attire. Like that's what made you who you are. Like,
okay.
So for you to say 80s, like I don't know. Like you're not from the 80s.
Yeah.
I don't know what about the 80s you think you're gonna like.
Okay, I like the music.
Dimes wants
but
to say something.
Yeah.
Thank you, Moves. All right. Listen.
Yeah.
I think if you were going to time travel, you won't really know what you'll like the most unless you experience that, right? Like if you go to a certain time period and you explore every option, then you say, hey, yeah, I want to live in that time period. Great. But
because we're going off history, just what we've been told.
Yeah. So we don't really know every time, like unless we experience it, right? But from what I can experience, like so far, I think my childhood, which was the 90s, I'll tell you right now, I don't like this technology age. Not for me. Not for me. I think the 90s.
Yeah, is where it's at.
Yeah, that's where I'd go back to.
Well, okay, so
A more simpler time.
I was gonna say I was leaning to I'm leaning to 90s just because like that's when I was like a teenager.
Yeah.
But then I think about, you know, I'm not an adult then. Could I be an adult then? Okay, if I'm an adult then, maybe I would have really liked it, you know, more. But I'm a product of it. Not the 80s, because I was a little too young to enjoy the 80s. And the 80s seem a little fucking all over the place, and I'm not a huge 80s guy. I don't know anything about the 80s that I would really like. I mean, I like a bit of music, but I think the 90s because I was there. I know the 90s but I mean, look at us. We're literally picking out of 3 people. We're picking the last 30 years. And we put the entire history of civilization on the board.
Well, because
and we're all picking the last 30 years. I don't know.
No, but because there's a baseline of certain needs that you want. Like for me, I need to have a toilet, and the toilet wasn't. No, listen, listen.
Only about the toilet.
No.
See, I gotta
no.
go to the '90s again. You're like Costanza.
No, but no. What I'm saying is that there's a there's a
Public toilet.
no. Listen, there's healthcare and all that stuff. There's a base time period of where life begins to actually be decent, right? And I think the toilet is definitely a representation of when time got good. Because, listen, man, taking a dump like in a hole in the ground, not my thing.
I just find it funny that's your
That's one of many things. That's
but
one of many
people
things.
go camping and there's no toilet, so like they choose
Yeah,
to not
well,
use the toilet.
yeah.
And they survive.
They
come
survive,
back.
but can you live your entire life?
Some people do. Some
Then-
people would, or they would choose to if they could live in an unpolluted society
Uh-huh.
at whatever period in time and sacrifice the luxury of a toilet
Yeah,
and toilet paper,
yeah.
they would probably do that.
All I
because that's what they're about. They're about that, like not the toilet.
I just know for a prerequisite for me, I am not going to a time period where I cannot sit down and take a crap. Like I am not.
Okay, see, for me, it's different.
That's one prerequisite.
Like for me, I can't like. Why? Okay, let's do him first. Why the '80s?
Why the 80s?
What like
Okay.
what is standing out
Why
to
did-
you
okay,
other than
well-
the fucking porcelain god
Okay.
that you're praying to?
Okay, the reason why the 80s as opposed to now, cause so I'm going to compare why I wouldn't want to live, if I had the opportunity between the 80s and now, the reason why is one, I'm not a big fan of this social media stuff. I feel like it's too invasive, and I agree. And yes, the technology, it's become too invasive. Back then, things were still new, like CD players and VCRs, like they were new. That was a new thing, right? And I'd like to be in a period where that was new. Also, society's views on things were a bit more like you could eat like a whole bunch of things, and like
Were the
that.
'80s CDs? I think with tapes, man. I think tapes were still dominating.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
CDs
fine.
were like early '90s.
No. The late 80s they came out. They came out. Yeah,
I was there, man. Like it was not.
I
it was
saw
still
Wedding
tapes,
Singer.
and then
The Wedding Singer. Remember that guy brought a CD player? The Wedding Singer.
That was 19.
That was the 80s.
84. I don't know.
And that was late 80s. Late 80s.
Was it a CD
They,
player?
they were called. They were not called CDs. They were called disc player. No, something ROMs. I don't know. You can Google that now because we live in that age.
CD-ROM was computer stuff.
Whatever. All I'm saying is, I like the music. I like
Compact disc is what everybody called them. back
laser
then,
discs.
which-
They were called laser discs.
Laserdisc was for television or for watching stuff.
Okay. Clearly, I'm okay.
Compact discs,
Yeah.
CD
Yeah.
for short,
Yeah.
was late 80s. I don't know. I'm sure they were around, but
Yeah.
they weren't popular because like I was still buying tapes into the 90s, man.
Yeah.
And then CDs were there.
Yeah.
HMV,
95.
you
But
know?
no, I also like the ignorance of the 80s. Like we weren't too big about what do you call it, pollution. They were kind of like so you can get away with certain things in the 80s, right? Like driving vehicles that were guzzling gas. Cars were more cooler and whatever. Now people are driving Priuses and stuff like
But
that.
we've
right?
learned that like
We've
the
learned,
pollution
but I
from
like
that time period wasn't good.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a simpler time because
No, that's what I'm
that's
saying.
the element
That's
of
what I'm saying. I
cities
wanna
like
go to-
our city.
That's what I'm
is
saying.
like unrecognizable.
I-
Listen, STDs. People didn't know too much about STDs back then.
No, people were dying from them.
Exactly. But what I'm saying, it was a simpler time.
Yeah, simpler time for me too. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's why I'd go to the.
Well, you know what? I choose the 80s or the 50s because the 50s.
Oh, now we're okay. Now 50s are coming up. So okay,
Toilets
your
are still
point
around.
for the 80s. I'm still so. What the fuck did you just tell me? You want to go to the 80s because you can watch a CD or watch
no.
DVDs?
I want to go to
the
these because simpler times and ignorance, right? You could get away with doing things that you can't get away with doing now. You could do stuff.
But like what?
Like
I don't think
political-
it was thought through for
No,
the 80s.
political correctness now. Nowadays, you can't say. Back then, you could just say whatever like.
Well, in the 50s is where you want to
Oh,
be, man.
and you know what? Maybe it is. Maybe it is. But no. But like I
Mad
kind
Men,
of.
that shit.
Oh fuck! Can you imagine going to work and slapping your? I don't know, man. I think the 50s might be the move.
I just like the fact that you could probably drink and smoke.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
If you're in the 50s.
yeah.
I'm partial to you know what? Because like my parents are older, and like I guess my dad would have been like 20 in the 50s, early 20s.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. I don't hear much about it, but like, I like the cars from that time period.
Yeah.
And I think, society was getting its legs to where we are today. You know?
I've been
like,
told food tasted better back then. Because
Yeah,
they,
I believe it.
Yeah.
it was probably fresher and may not made
Yeah.
with as many preservatives.
See, that's another
and
thing, too.
boxed and everything.
Now things are all freaking GMOs, or they go on the other side and they're now organic. It's like, no, just give me a simple burger, right? And I think you know what, the 50s. I'm choosing the 50s. The burgers were probably amazing.
really,
50s.
You know what? Why not the 60s?
I don't know, because that's
I think
like,
it's all
Wasn't
similar.
everybody just
It's all
banging
similar.
everybody else in the
Oh,
60s?
yeah, then you know
and
what?
free speech and love and all that, and
Yeah,
like a lot
yeah.
of movements were happening, and like a lot came out of that, right? Like,
Vietnam was in the 60s though, right? See, I wouldn't want to be, only because if I get drafted, right? I don't think the 50s perfect.
oh, so what are you, a draft dodger?
I'm not a draft dodger. I'm just
I'm just fucking with
I
you.
think 90s is a perfect decade.
I've thought about this.
The 90s
before.
are all right. The 90s but here's the thing: they're simpler times for you now because that's your childhood, right? But
We look
imagine
at
being,
it was nice. We liked being
Yeah.
a kid in the 90s.
Yeah, but it's not just about
Imagine
being a
being
kid.
a-
It's
yeah.
like it's
well,
like
I was like,
it's just that in between period. It's not like too old school, but it's not too.
But this has nothing this has nothing to do with old school news. It's about like where do you think you could have thrived with your mentality, right? Like you're saying you're having problems with picking up ladies that are in today's society. Do you think they're any different than the 90s? I don't think
I'm gonna say yes.
the
'Cause
ni-
I was there.
were they?
I was a teenager,
Okay.
but
Okay, this is new stuff for me, so
like, yeah. I mean, well, I don't know. I
The
don't
mentality
know about
was probably
dimes.
different, but I was a kid. I don't know.
yeah,
don't
so
know
I
about
have no
dimes,
idea on
but like this
women
goes
in the 90s.
Well, I mean, fuck. Even if you're in the 80s or you go back to the 50s, I'm sure even in the well, maybe. I don't know.
No,
It's
the
probably
50s
different in
might
the
have been
50s.
way easier. You just, you
easier.
yeah, 100% easier. 100% easier. 100% easier. You could pick up a girl in the 50s. They were more.
You're going back to an era when you had to like. Have you seen Pleasantville?
bits and parts.
You can't. No, man. Girls like it was different, man. Like back then, you couldn't. Like, yeah, people dated or whatever, but
Yeah.
it's not like it is today.
They weren't promiscuous. They were just they were thing. But that's the thing. Like that the girl that you were going for was at least one guy. Now it's like
Well, you don't know.
You don't know, but it's probably.
I wasn't
magnified
there.
now.
Like maybe it was just hidden better. Like maybe it was just like not.
now it's
happening.
just magnified.
yeah, but I mean no. But look at
You
the
have to do work. Like before this technology, and we've talked about this.
Yeah.
Like maybe we
Yeah, but-
talked about it. Like you have to put some fucking time in. Like you met like 80s, 90s, you go 50s, 60s, you go back. I don't even forever before now. It goes back to the thing where if you're interested in somebody, it's like, hey, meet me if it's the 80s, I guess meet me at the arcade on a Friday night. And you would go to the arcade and you would be looking for who you were going to meet, right? If you told a girl, hey, meet me here, you're hoping she shows up. And you know what? The only fucking number you had maybe was her home phone number. And you would call her home phone number or her friend's house or whatever. And if the answer you get is she's out, and this applies for the 90s, for the most part of the 90s, that's it. You don't fucking know. Like maybe she's not coming, like...
But it makes
maybe she's showing up or maybe she's not. There's no fucking text. Hey, where you at? Oh, I'm outside. Okay, I'm upstairs. No, you have to go and look and hunt for this person.
that made things more meaningful. I think.
exactly.
Right?
It did, and it did because it meant more.
Yeah, exactly.
Because a girl or a guy would be like, "Wow, you came all the way down here and you fucking found me in this crowd," and it's like, "Well, yeah, I wanted to see you." Now, does a guy even get out of his fucking car? I don't know. Just saying that, but we'll go back in time again. So yeah, I think there was more meaning to meeting up, and I think that the 80s, the arcades were big, right?
yeah
Late set or 70s,
Movies.
80s,
man.
movies.
yeah.
So I get it. Like the 80s, like there's some quaint shit going on there. There's a lot of quaint stuff going on back in the day.
Yeah.
And the 90s was the same. The 90s was the same. Like I could tolerate the 90s.
Well,
again.
okay. I think it comes down to this.
But I was sheltered. Like, we're all sheltered when we're
Yeah.
young, right? We're looking back, or at least me and Dimes are looking back at a time when we were like, you're younger than me, man, so you were little.
Yeah, but if
95,
we could go to the 90s
yeah.
at our age now, that would what I would want to do.
But I think it's just as fucked, just in a different way, right? Yeah, you're losing the smartphones. Internet, nobody had internet. Like, it was infant in, like, 97, 98. It's
Yeah.
infant
Yeah.
99 even. You know, computers, yeah, they weren't great. Like, they were okay. Laptops were okay. Like, they weren't anything near here. You want to look at a porno pic, it was like fucking, you have to let it download. Video, no, not happening.
Pictures, yeah. But
You're dialing in on
that's a time-
shitty internet.
I don't care though. That's the time I'd want to be in.
no, but
I'd like to be back there, sure, but that's just because I like it. I got a soft spot for it, right?
Here's the
But-
prerequisites, though. At the end of the day, the time period that you choose is based on what your wants and needs are. I personally like driving, so I would want to go in a time period where cars are around. So I want to say
50, 60,
50. So yeah, because I think cars were cooler around this. So I want to say
cars got shitty in the 80s.
yeah. Okay, I'll give
All
you
the
that.
cars went shit in the 80s, man.
I'll
Look
give-
what they did
okay.
to the Mustang.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But what I'm saying is like, so now we narrow down my time period, time frame. I would live anywhere between the 50s and 80s, right? Because I like the music of the 80s. I like the cars of the 50s. I mean, food of the 50s. I like the cars of the 60s. So it's kind of like in that time frame. But if I had to narrow down, there's other things too. Like, when do you think was the best time to get laid? And you know what? The whole 60s thing. So you know what? I think out of narrowing this down, best cars when you could get laid, 60s. So I'm now changing my answer to the 60s.
Well,
But I fucking hate war, so like fuck.
there's fucking war every
No.
decade.
It's
It's
80s
just we're
Cold
not
War.
involved in it
Cold
because of
War.
where we live.
Okay, ideally we'd be living in North America. Ideally.
No, I know that, but I mean,
Yeah.
like, I'm not gonna say fucking 1940. Like,
1945.
like I'm not gonna say the 40s because no,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and, you know,
Yeah. 60s,
I'm
70s.
going to war. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going to war. I'm not gonna say,
Yeah, me neither.
you know, the early 19th or 20th century because guess what? I'm probably fucking going to war.
But
for
well, hold
World
on.
War I.
That being said,
There's a lot of wars.
wait.
that
Hold
we
on.
fought,
Hold on.
like, in
That
the
being
days.
said, we live in the 2000s, and we didn't go to freaking Iraq. So
No,
we're
because
kind
we
of
didn't have to.
yeah, we're in
But,
the assumption.
I mean, if they came calling tomorrow,
yeah,
if World War III broke out and they fucking said they're drafting us,
yeah.
I'm going to war. Then I'm like, well, fuck, I don't want to live in this time period either, right? Like, but I'll fight to
It's
that. I'll
relative.
fight to the
It's-
last. Like, I
yeah.
disagree with what some people out there do. Okay, that's a different thing too,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
then I'm gonna fucking spout off about the fucking shit I disagree with out there and oppression in the world. People are gonna be like, go fucking pick up a gun, and it's like, well, I also don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I can't contradict myself. So okay, you got to eliminate the wars. You got to
Yeah.
say like for lifestyle.
For lifestyle-
without war, if you could live anywhere or at any period of time, where would it be?
I'm going with 60s. I'm going with 60s. For mine, 60s. Cars, sex life, food.
Sex, life, and toilets for.
That's it, man.
Special
Oh,
K.
by the way, the toilet was created in 1596, so definitely no time period before that. You know, that's all
So
I'm
you
saying.
can't live without it,
My base. So my
way.
base choices. Like, I mean, it'd be cool to visit a lot of time periods. Like, I would love to go back
Yeah.
and visit
Oh yeah, I would love to
You know,
visit.
2000 AD or 2000 BC.
9/11.
No. Like 2,000 years ago and go and just
Yeah.
fucking take a look, man. You know,
Yeah.
hop in the DeLorean and travel back.
Yeah.
But, you know, I wouldn't want to stay there.
No, I wouldn't want to.
I wouldn't
I'd
wanna
love to
stay
see
there.
Rome.
I'd like to go
Okay.
check out Roman times. I'd like to look at all of it. I'd like to be there
I-
to just
Yeah.
see what it was like when the pyramids were being built. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't want to personally build the pyramid. So, I mean, that. I don't want to be a slave doing that. So, yeah, like, I don't want to be there. And then I don't want to really be in the 1800s. I mean, some people I've talked to would love to be like, oh, yeah, the Wild West. And I'm like, nope. Or the gold rush and all this shit. And I'm like, those were hard
Visit
times
but not
for
live.
people.
Visit but not
visit.
live. Yeah.
Like, those are hard times, man.
Yeah.
Those are hard times to live in.
Yeah.
Like, even if you're in a, like, New York or wherever, you know, Paris or whatever city, London,
Yeah.
those are rough times for people. Industrial times, right? When
Yeah.
we were, like, figuring it all out. Also, healthcare, horrible.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Dental, they're bad. Like,
Yeah.
wooden teeth. Like, they're, like
pirates,
it's
yeah.
just, you're sick, right? Like, if you're sick, you're dying. Like, I don't want to live in that time period. So I got to go to another time period where I would live forever. And I'm very much curious. I'm very curious to know where we're going. So
that being,
I know what we've done.
Yeah.
And I've been in the 90s, and as much as I love the 90s for nostalgia, and it was, simpler times, living at home, being a teenager, running amok, hanging out with my buddies, I'm going to pick now. With the technology, with all the bullshit going on in the world, because I don't know what's going to be, what are we going to do tomorrow? And it sucks because I'm not going to live long enough to see the end, hopefully. Yeah. Hopefully I'm not on the planet for the end. Hopefully that's another 2,000 years or past it. And hopefully humanity gets off the planet and colonizes, Mars or wherever, and we leave the solar system. But that's where I'm at, man. Like, what's going to be around the corner tomorrow? Because healthcare is getting better. Dentistry is excellent, And I don't have to worry about a whole lot when it comes to that. It's
the healthcare. You know what
is going to be tomorrow? Like, what's tomorrow going to bring?
From the healthcare point of view, yes, now is amazing more than ever. But it just comes to that. It just comes down today to what your wants are, And for me, I have pretty simple wants: fast cars, good food, toilets.
Well, if we're just basing it on that,
and sex,
and not the evolution of humanity, then maybe I'm in the fucking 50s. You know what I mean? Like,
okay,
because all these fucking rules and
see, like what I'm saying. It's
I visit a lot of time periods, but either today or maybe back in a time when you rolled up in a McDonald's and fucking McDonald's wasn't what it was today. It was actually like a fucking
drive-through. Founder. You got to watch the movie The Founder.
I've watched it.
It's good.
It's a good movie.
Yeah,
no, that's why it was in my head. Is I'm like,
listen, a good time period. But Dimes, with all that, what's the time period? 90s. You're still holding to the 90s.
Still holding on to the 90s. Yeah. What the move said is cool. See where we're going tomorrow, but that's more for tomorrow. Like, we don't know, right? The future.
Yeah,
but I still sticking to the 90s. I like simpler times.
Yeah, but yeah.
It was and I get that. Like, one thing that sticks out for me now: where's the fucking payphone?
Oh, they're gone.
They're fucking gone, man. Like,
no, they're still in subway stations. I see them.
Yeah, they're around, but there's something I thought there was some rule where they have to keep landline payphones around.
Probably just for
safety reasons. And simpler times, like Dimes is saying, is you used to carry a pocket full of quarters. I remember, man, being 17 years old or 16 years old, and I don't even think I had a driver's license. No, it might have been 15. But out and about and doing whatever, and calling whatever girl I was dating at the time, and I'm in a coffee time, eating up payphone minutes. You know what I mean? And there's some asshole who's like, "Hey, get off the fucking phone, man! I got to make a phone call." And it's I got to call you back. And then you wait for some guy to call someone, and then it's all right. And then you call them back on a quarter. Or you did a collect call to somebody, like your parents, to get picked up at the fucking mall or at the movie, and it was an automatic recording, and it'd be say your name, pick me up at the mall. And then your parents would hear it and be like, oh, he needs a ride. I don't know. Yeah, there was different now.
Yeah,
and people don't get that.
Even in the past, kids were playing outside, right?
Absolutely.
Compared to now?
Absolutely. In the 80s, yeah. You know what the rule was, man? Don't cross the street. And there was other kids on their big wheel or whatever on your side of the road, and you go to the corner. You could be outside till the lights went on. And I'm sure it still happens in certain areas of the city, but, in the city, fuck, man. Yeah, people are, no. That's not happening. For sure. For sure.
I was outside. I was playing outside every day.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
I don't see that anymore.
Well, technology's also taking a hit. They've taken a chunk out of that.
Kids are going inside to play rather than outside.
Yeah. Oh, man, I used to play soccer, baseball, kick the can, hockey.
Ball,
I played everything, man.
No, for sure. I agree with you.
But that goes down to your childhood. But being a man in the 90s, I don't know. I wasn't a man. Moves, you were closer to being a man in
Yeah, well, I mean, I was leaving elementary school and then in a high school and then a little bit past that, 99.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, it was... it's the
People
same
felt
but
closer,
different.
but don't you think people felt closer together? Like
Yeah.
for like
no,
if-
absolutely,
like,
absolutely.
in my neighborhood, compared to when I was a kid in the '90s, I don't like right now. I don't even know my neighbors' names. Like I see them. I know they're Asian. That's all I know. That's all I know.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid and I knew everybody on the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's because with the growth of technology and listen, 9/11 changed things. After that, things people started. No, man. Listen, that's why the 2000s. It was the beginning. It was the beginning of the end.
Nothing to do with that.
It was the beginning of the end, man. Beginning
It's
of the end.
technology and its mentality, and it's a different time now. And I'm gonna say, yeah, it's like as a teenager in '96 or whatever. I'm gonna date myself, obviously, but you go back to that, and if I met up with all my buddies on a Friday to go drink at the creek or wherever we were drinking, or a house party, nobody had a fucking cell phone. Nobody. We had to coordinate all of this shit at school,
That's true.
or after school, or on the phone, and be like, okay, who are you calling? Who am I calling? And we're coordinating all of this shit. When you left the fucking house, you had no phone. You had some quarters because you might make a call at a payphone, but you're doing all that, man. Like there was no options. Like and when you met your friends, nobody had a fucking cell phone to sit and stare at and text somebody that's not there. You actually had to talk to everybody that was with you, and maybe it was the three of us sitting around talking, getting drunk, smoking a joint, whatever the fuck we were doing, and then it's like, all right, man. And then I'm going to talk to the other people. There's nobody isolated. Everybody's having a good time. Nowadays, somebody just sits in a fucking corner probably and just sits on a phone texting some asshole that's not there, some chick or whatever.
You know what?
Good for them.
Yeah.
But it takes a piece out, right? Like that closeness between friends, I think, is gone. I think people now call people friends that aren't their friends. I think they're people that they wouldn't even fucking talk to or see ever. They would be no contact if it wasn't for phones. Back in the day, if somebody moved away, you stop being their friend.
Yeah.
Like you just lose touch because you're not seeing them at school. They're not coming out with you on a weekend, and you don't have a driver's license. I mean, maybe you could take a fucking bus. Like they're done, and then you reconnect years later, and it's like, great, hey man, like maybe you did. Maybe there's people I met up with later where I had a license in a car, and it's like, oh okay, like maybe our parents stayed friends, or if that was even the case. No, that's it. There's lots of people I don't know anymore because they left. Nowadays, no. Social media, cell phones, text.
Yeah.
You can maintain that friendship, so I guess maybe it's positive. But what about the people you just fucking meet? And it's like,
That's another
you
reason,
befriend them on the internet, but you never fucking see them. They don't go to your school. They don't have anything to do in your world. Are they a friend to you?
That's why. That's another reason why
No,
I
I
want
don't
to live in
think
the '90s, because there's not that. That doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Or maybe to a lesser extent. Like there was no.
You know what exists in the '90s though? Mushroom cuts.
I had one.
Yeah, everybody did.
I had one.
Undercuts and all that shit. It's just like how many people
High tops.
are you friends with today that if this was the 90s with no fucking cell phones, no internet really, Facebook didn't exist, how many people?
One last question for the moves. Women of the 90s versus women of the 2000s and women of current generation.
Okay.
In terms of
Am I me today in both time periods, or am I me from the younger me?
No. I just want to know
because
because
it's younger me, I'm picking today.
Listen,
because it's ridiculously easy.
No, because what I'm saying is me and Dime's dating career haven't really started since the early 2000s, but you've had a bit of a longer dating career and dealing with them you've dealt with them longer. Have you noticed a change? Have they become more challenging? You think?
Yeah.
So you think?
Some, yeah, definitely.
You
but
think
it's the society, right?
So okay.
Like they're products of society.
Right. So you think that it's harder now than it was back in the 90s because of society?
No,
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't. What's harder?
To get yeah, to get them, to get a chick.
To
No,
get
I
a
think-
chick or keep a chick?
Oh, hold on. Both. You think?
Well, I think the same shit was happening then too.
Yeah, cheating was around.
You know, yeah, I think things were happening, but it's like you have to put more work in, and then like generally, if you put like that work in,
Yeah.
you dated that person, right? Like, but it would take up time.
So now you're saying
So,
that it's not as
But
hard?
today, like, I don't like. You still got to put time in or whatever.
I feel
but,
like people don't want to though. Some don't.
to put the time in.
Yeah, because it's so go.
Well, yeah, but that's because that's what's been created, right? Like the phone.
Yeah.
Like you can shoot a text, be like, "You coming out?" or "You want to do something or meet there or whatever," and it's done. Like it's over. Or even how people meet, right? Like we've already talked about that with the apps and online
Yeah.
and all that bullshit. So like, yeah, if you took like young me and dropped me into the pool today, I'd probably be perfectly happy with today's society and right in the pool and fucking ripping it up, being a complete maniac, you know, having a great time doing it because I would be in my element, right? Like I'd be growing up, I'd be part of it, I would have come up with it, you know. But you put 90s me into it, I don't know. Yeah, maybe I'd rip it up too because I'm a throwback, you know. Same age as everybody, but like that mentality, maybe that's
So-
even better. But you know,
So do you think the other guys do you think we'd have an easier or harder time in the 90s?
I think you guys want to be in the 90s.
Oh yeah?
I think you guys want to be in the 90s.
So let's get that DeLorean.
Yeah, I think the 90s because like it was different, man.
Yeah.
It was a little different, and you know, you'd end up fucking at a party or whatever, and then you'd fucking end up just wasted, or not even. You fucking smoke a fatty, and then all of a sudden you know, hey, how are you? Oh, I didn't know you're friends with who? Oh, and then all of a sudden you end up talking to some girl, you know, for 4 hours or for the rest of the party in like some room or sitting on a rock or whatever. You're doing this because you're young, and then you know. You end up with something coming out of that,
Yeah.
right? Nowadays, does that happen? I'm sure it happens, but
Yeah.
people don't want to do it because she's fucking pulling that phone out, or you're
True.
pulling that phone out.
True,
You know,
true.
it's a different world. Or you're getting a text message mid fucking sentence, and it's like, oh, gotta check my phone, gotta whatever. So I think it's different. I think that the 90s different.
90s is for me.
Fine. Fair enough. So on that note,
If you have any questions, you can reach us at theotherguyspodcasts@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter @otherguyspod. And you can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Google Play. And if you give us a listen, give us some feedback. Hit those likes, hit those ratings. And anyways, that's pretty much it for tonight. So you guys have a good one.